Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving straight into Middle-earth, that world so many of us know and love, and of course right at the center, the One Ring.
That iconic ring, yeah.
We all see it as this, incredibly powerful, corrupting thing. But here's where it gets really interesting, the layer underneath. Tolkien himself, well, he said in a letter 142, that The Lord of the Rings is a fundamentally religious and Catholic work.
Which is fascinating, right? Because like you said, there are no churches, no overt rituals in the story itself.
Exactly. So what did he mean? That's what we're digging into.
It seems the whole moral, the metaphysical framework is just steeped in these Christian themes, even if they're not on the surface. Our mission today really is to explore how the One Ring functions as this powerful symbol of original sin.
Original sin in a fantasy novel. Now that's a big idea, especially since Tolkien was usually so careful about avoiding direct allegory.
He was, definitely.
So how do we start seeing that? How does that theological symbolism actually weave into the story of the ring? We want to unpack how different characters, react to its temptation.
In Frodo's journey, too, his apparent failure at the end, how that shows something deeper about maybe human limits.
Right, and how his destruction ultimately points towards this idea of grace. It's not just magic, is it? It feels much more about the nature of evil itself and redemption.
Exactly. To really get the ring, you have to look past just the magical powers. Tolkien's whole world, his legendarium, it's full of these spiritual undercurrents.
Okay.
And this concept of original sin, that fall from grace, driven by pride, that desire to dominate it, feels really central.
Okay, let's unpack that. If it's not just a magical object, how does it show this original sin idea? Our sources, they really highlight it as a direct piece of Sauron's will, his corrupt will.
Yeah, a symbol of wanting to dominate others, fundamentally.
And the power isn't just, forcing people. It's psychological, isn't it?
Yeah.
Spiritual. It tempts people with control, with mastery, and that really scary illusion that you could actually do good things, achieve order, if you just had absolute power.
That's the insidious part.
Like the book says, the Fellowship of the Ring, the power of the ring to control all others was made by Sauron himself. It is altogether evil. Pretty clear.
And if you connect that to the theology, think about, say, Lucifer's fall or Adam and Eve. The core sin wasn't necessarily wanting evil things, but that desire to be like God, to exalt yourself.
To take control.
Precisely. The ring offers exactly that path, self-elevation. And often it masks itself in, seemingly righteous motives. I'll use it for good.
Which brings us straight to Gandalf, doesn't it? His reaction is so visceral, he won't even touch it.
That moment is crucial.
Remember when Frodo offers it?
Yeah.
Gandalf says, "Do not tempt me. I dare not take it, not even to keep it safe. Unused. The wish to wield it would be too great for my strength."
It's powerful.
It's not just about what he might do. It's the wish itself. The desire for that kind of domination, even if he thinks it's for a noble end. That's the sin right there.
Exactly. The desire itself is the corruption starting. It really makes you think about power in our own world, doesn't it? How that desire for control can twist things.
It really does. And this connects back to those biblical echoes you mentioned. The Garden of Eden, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. That story is all about temptation, isn't it? The temptation to know everything, control everything, to reject depending on God.
The serpent's promise, be like God, knowing good and evil.
Precisely. And the ring offers the same sort of thing. Wisdom, strength, control. That godlike power.
And Boromir. Gosh, he's such a clear example of this, isn't he? You really feel for him.
You do. His motives seem understandable at first. Protect his people, save Gondor.
But he falls right into that trap, the ends justifying the means. Corrupted by pride, that refusal to accept limits. He actually asks, "It is a gift, I say, a gift to the foes of Mordor. Why not use this ring?"
He can't see past the immediate goal, the perceived good he could do with it. The ring twists that desire.
But then, contrast that with Galadriel, one of the most powerful beings, wise.
Yeah.
And her moment of resistance is maybe even more striking.
Oh, absolutely. She sees exactly where it leads.
He glimpses herself, doesn't she, as this dark queen. In place of a dark lord, you would have a queen. All shall love me in despair. Chilling.
It is. And her rejection isn't just about avoiding evil actions. It's a deep understanding and rejection of the corrupting nature of that kind of power itself. She sees the sin for what it is and turns away, a huge act of will.
So the ring tests the mighty, the wise. But then we get Frodo, our hobbit, the most unlikely person for this massive task. How does his journey fit this theological picture? He just says, I will take the ring, though I do not know the way. It really feels like that idea of grace working through the small, the weak.
It absolutely does. And his journey, it's just a path of, well, incredible suffering, isn't it?
Yep.
Relentless. As he gets closer to Mordor, the burden just grows. You see his spirit getting eroded, scarred by the ring's influence. It costs him dearly, psychologically, spiritually.
He says it himself, doesn't he? Something like, there is no real going back. Though I may come to the Shire, it will not seem the same, for I shall not be the same. He's carrying this symbolic weight of sin.
He really is. He bears it.
Which brings us to that moment.
Yeah.
The one that's, for many people, a real gut punch. It totally subverts what you expect from a hero story.
At the crack of doom.
Yeah. Frodo, our hero, the one who carried it all this way, he doesn't destroy it. He claims it. He says, but I do not choose now to do what I came to do. I will not do this deed. The ring is mine. Why? Why is that failure, that apparent failure, so important for Tolkien's message?
It's utterly critical because it underlines that core idea. Frodo, representing humanity maybe, can't ultimately achieve this kind of moral victory, this salvation, just by his own strength. His will finally breaks.
Isn't that strong enough alone?
No. And that moment of failure, paradoxically, sets up the actual way the ring is destroyed.
Right. Enter Gollum.
Exactly. The character whose whole existence has been twisted by the ring.
He seems like the embodiment of its corruption, yet he becomes essential. How does that work?
Well, it goes back, doesn't it, to Bilbo's pity, way back in The Hobbit, and then Frodo choosing mercy later on, sparing Gollum's life.
Ah, right. Gandalf says something about that.
The pity of Bilbo may rule the fate of many. It turns out to be literally true. Frodo sees himself in Gollum, his own potential fate, and that fuels his mercy. That mercy keeps Gollum in the story right up to the end.
So the climax, it becomes incredibly theological. Frodo fails. His will breaks. But then Gollum, in this mad frenzy of joy and obsession,
he bites off Frodo's finger to get the ring back.
And then just loses his balance, celebrating, and falls into the fire. The text says, but Gollum, dancing like a mad thing, held aloft the ring and fell into the fire. So the insight isn't just Frodo failed. It's that the failure itself, combined with Gollum's action driven by his own obsession, not goodness. That's how grace operates.
That's it, exactly. It's radical. Weakness, failure, obsession, mercy shown earlier, they all converge. The ring isn't destroyed by heroic strength.
But by this convergence.
Yeah, a convergence of Frodo's very human limits and this kind of unintended consequence of Gollum's addiction. Evil literally trips over itself and falls into the fire.
Wow. That's a powerful image of undeserved grace.
It really is. A profound resolution.
Okay, let's dig a bit deeper into how Tolkien saw evil itself. You mentioned it's not like an equal opposite force to good, more like a corruption.
Yes, that's a very Augustinian view, actually, which fits Tolkien. Evil as a privation, a twisting or spoiling of good, not something with its own substance.
And the ring does that. It doesn't just make people evil, it sort of perverts their existing nature.
Precisely. It finds what you already desire, power, beauty, control, knowledge, and twists it. Tolkien wrote in a letter, number 246, that the ring was a device of evil will, to reduce all sub-creators to the level of slaves or puppets. It works on your free will, but by corrupting it.
Like we saw with Boromir. Or even Sam, briefly.
Right. Even loyal Sam has that fleeting vision when he holds the ring. He imagines himself as this great gardener, making everything beautiful, but ultimately a tyrant. Samwise the stronghold in court.
Shows that anyone can be tempted, right? But also, maybe that resistance is possible, at least for a while, though maybe not long-term, if you're the bearer.
Exactly. It highlights the overwhelming nature of the temptation, especially over time, which brings us back to needing something beyond individual willpower.
Which leads to providence, that sense of a larger plan at work.
Absolutely central to Tolkien's world. Individual choices have immense weight. They really matter. But they happen within this moral universe where there seems to be a guiding, benevolent power.
Like Gandalf saying, there was another power at work. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, and not by its maker.
Yeah, it echoes those theological ideas like Romans 8.28, that somehow even bad things or unintended things can be worked into a larger good plan. We don't always see how, but it's there.
And that's where Frodo's failure finds its meaning, its redemption, perhaps.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the story for him, morally. It's the very thing that allows grace to happen.
Exactly. It's the vehicle for grace. Mercy shown earlier to Gollum, pity, providence, they all come together through Frodo's inability to finish the task alone. Tolkien himself said it in Letter 191. Frodo indeed failed, But one must face the fact the power of evil in the world is not finally resistible by incarnate creatures. We need help.
Which leads to that idea he called eucatastrophe.
Eucatastrophe, that sudden joyous turn. A miracle, really. Like the gospel story itself, presented in a fairy tale mode. Deliverance comes unexpectedly, unearned.
So wrapping this all up then, the One Ring, it's so much more than just a plot device, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It functions as this really deep symbol of original sin. That core human temptation to grab power, to be the master, to control fate, to not depend on anything higher.
And we see all the different ways beings react to that temptation through the characters. Frodo, Boromir, Galadriel, even Gollum. There's resistance, failure, repentance, unexpected redemption.
And the climax, the ring's destruction through Gollum's fall, it just crystallizes Tolkien's belief. Salvation doesn't come from perfect strength or willpower. It comes through grace, often in very unexpected ways.
Frodo himself says it later, doesn't he, to Sam. Even Gollum may have something yet to do. But for him, Sam, I could not have destroyed the ring.
Such a powerful acknowledgement. It shows that interconnectedness, how even the broken and fallen can play a part in providence.
So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. In Tolkien's world, the ultimate enemy isn't really death. It's the desire to master death, to control life, absolutely.
That's a great point. It's the desire for ultimate control that stems from pride.
And his story shows that even right in the heart of what looks like total failure, there can be, as he put it, hope unlooked for, a grace beyond all merit. It's a complex, hopeful vision, way beyond just a simple adventure story.
Absolutely, a moral depth that keeps us coming back.